Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia. This is Wyatt. Um, Today is the summary of, let me see, day 15. So this is a summary for the day 15 of the operations in Ukraine, and just a just a quick go through in case you are those that are gonna watch just like 5 minutes or 30 seconds and they're gonna leave. There are major movement by the Russians, and then they captured a small part of Voznesensk, and then they are actually moving towards Nikopol, as well as the town of Novoronsovska, and then there's a progress on the Donetsk front. There's also a progress on the Mariupol, the battle for Mariupol. No news on the Severodonetsk. No news in terms of Izium. And basically that's about it. So if you do not want to listen to the details, you can leave now. And now let's go into detail. So we shall start from the Mykolaiv front, and you'll realize that the map or the borders for the Russians actually looks a little different. That's because of the new information that I have received. Basically, they have managed to gone around all the strongholds or entrenched positions of the Ukrainians, and they decided to use all the small roads between the strongholds or the entrenched position of the Ukrainians. So if you zoom in far enough, you can see that there's actually small dirt roads or small roads between the different towns and villages within the Mykolaiv Oblast, and the Russians make full use of all these small roads and actually manage to connect all the forward operating bases. And this actually kind of answers how they are able to continue the resupply and continue the offense in Voznesensk. And in the latest information on the battle for Voznesensk, the Russians have captured the southeastern district of Bohaka. There's According to the Russian source of the information regarding Voznesensk, they have this very cryptic kind of description of what happened. So the Russians have taken the south eastern side of the city, and then there's a river actually cutting the city into two parts, and the Ukrainians is mentioned to have blown up all the bridges to prevent the Russians from crossing. However, the Russians still managed to cross, and they actually detained the heads of the local administration as well as the territorial defense, and they actually managed to take away their phones, and they stuffed their face, probably punched them. So from the Russian source, they have no explanation on how the phones of the entire administration suddenly end up with the Russians, and they reported that for a couple of days, fighting in Voznesensk stopped. So they added that reinforcements came to the city, and the route to Yuzhno-Krensk and the South Ukrainian nuclear power plant was strengthened. So this part was not so clear on what it means, but the way how I read it is that the Russian forces actually captured the city, and they now have a free route with the help of reinforcement to go towards this city of Yuzhno-Krensk, as well as the South Ukraine nuclear power plant. This is actually a prime objective for the Russians. So we shall see whether this will turn out to be true. From the latest information that I saw, there's actually fighting in Voznesensk. So this might be wrong. This information might be wrong. We will see whether we have more information as we go along. So as we know that now all these three forward operating base of the Russians are able to connect with each other, so this actually changed the entire complex of the strategic situation within Mykolaiv region, because previously we thought that the Russians have to travel along the main roads and avoiding all the farmlands. Now this is proven to be wrong. The Russians seems to be a little smarter than we thought they are. They're actually using all the smaller roads, and as a result, they actually started to move east. And reportedly, they were spotted around Velika Alexandrivka and moving towards Starosilia. So they were actually spotted. There are photos of it. And then there's also, so according to the Russian source, they are actually heading northeast in two different routes. One is from the south, from Berislav all the way up this road, while the other one came from this front near Bashtenka. They actually went past Semenivka and all the way following these small roads up. And the alleged target is Novovorontsovka and Nikopol. So the strategic importance of Nikopol is that they are actually in range, artillery range of the nuclear power plant. So I believe that the Russians actually want to secure this city over here to ensure that they can doubly secure the nuclear power plant at Inohoda, the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant. So this is what's happening, and the latest information I have is that they're actually already at Novovorontsovka. They're actually fighting to capture this little town here. So moving on into Mariupol. So in Mariupol, we have latest information from the Russians. They announced that they have captured the district of Lyapino, and they also captured the district of Nedionovka. And these forces now has proceeded into Azovstal, iron and metal works area. So this entire area, their forces have now entered this area to clear it up. They also captured the neighborhood of Zabatny as well as the neighborhood of Azovsky. So in terms of other battle zones, there's no news. So the Russians also make a statement regarding the viral news regarding the Russians attacking the hospital at Mariupol. So the Russian statement actually identified the specific hospital, which we now able to geolocate, which is here, the hospital number 3. So the Russians say that they did not have any air force operating over Mariupol during the ceasefire, and they say that the hospital had already stopped their regular work since the end of February. All staff and patients are already dispersed by the nationalists, so they are calling the news misinformation from the Ukrainian side, and also that the explosion, based on the photos, according to their forensic based on their identification through the photos, they feel that this explosion that is at the hospital is actually not caused by any airstrikes, because if the explosion is caused by airstrike, the wall of the building will be totally blown out. So they say that this explosion or the damage of the hospital is actually caused by 2 internal explosions. That means they are accusing the Ukrainian forces or the Azov battalion for planting explosions within the ground, and then they blow it up a second time to cause the explosion that we see. So they actually basically call out the Azov battalion for shooting civilians and as well as shooting medics. So this is what a sum up of the statement by the Russians on the hospital number 3 as well as the Azov battalion. On the Donetsk front, the Donetsk People's Republic militias have consolidated some of the positions. They have captured Marianivka, Lizne, Bizenje, as well as Lazarevka. So basically, it's the territory that we have already marked to be captured by the Russians or Donetsk forces. And the Russian forces that break away from the Donetsk militia actually continue to push on westward. So they have captured Kropyvnytsk in forward advance towards this line of defense by the Ukrainians, and then they also moving westward to link up with the forces that come from Crimea. They have captured these villages of Maui Kamenchak, Novopetrivka, as well as Yalimske. So they are actually 2 villages away from linking up with the Crimean forces. And this also means that the window for escape for any Ukrainian forces that's still within this region is closing really fast. From the latest information, the Russian forces have already arrived at this line of defense, all the way from Petrivka to Yevnivka, as well as Oktyabrsk. So the Russians have actually moved forward into this line, and then they did not declare that they have captured any of these villages or towns. The battle rages for Velika Novosilka. This is a very important town or minor city to capture, because this is a major hub in terms of the roads. You can see that it's actually branched out into all directions, and the fall of this town or city would mean that the Russians will be in arm's length to this entire route of communications. So this line of communications go from the East Army all the way to Zaporizhia. So should the Russians capture any point on this route, that would mean that the entire supply run or the resupplying of the forces to the Eastern Front will be affected. So there will be no more supplies from Zaporizhia be able to reach the Eastern Front or the East Army without a major detour up northward through Pokrovsk. So you will add on a lot of distance to the traveling, and we shall see whether the Russians will be able to take this. So the Russians are also battling at Huyaipo. In terms of the latest information, the Ukrainians actually have evacuated civilians from this town, which is a rare sight. Today's not propaganda, but the information that's sent out by the Ukrainians today feels different. It's a lot more humane rather than just misinformation after misinformation. They still send out a lot of misinformation and a lot of propaganda, but there's a lot more human side. They show a lot more of how they send their soldiers to clear up unexploded munitions. They show they have kitchens on prepared food for the evacuees. They show that the evacuation of civilians from different parts of the war zones. So there's today the information coming out from Ukraine side feels different. There is a marked difference from what they have been doing for the past 10-15 days, where they just go non-stop propaganda. They seems to pick up a bit from the Russians. So the Russians are really good at showing what they are doing for the civilians. So we are starting to see the same thing from the Ukrainians. So there is the Donetsk front, and in terms of there's also information regarding the Zaporizhia line. According to some Russian sources, there is actually this line of defense starting from Velika Novosilka through Huyapol, Orikiv, as well as Kamyevsk. So this actually represents a major defense line for the Ukrainians, and I call it the Zaporizhia line because these are the towns or cities that will be defending the route all the way up to this major artery for resupplying to the Eastern Front. So any of these 4 will be disaster for the Ukrainian forces. And the Russians are very wise and smart in choosing which of these 4 cities to attack. They attack the furthest 2, which represents a higher chance of encirclement of the entire Eastern Army, as well as these 2 villages and cities actually far enough away from Zaporizhia to not allow fast reinforcement from this major city of this region. So the distance between Zaporizhia to Orikhiv is just 40-50 kilometers. So if you drive fast enough, you can actually reinforce Orikhiv in an hour or 2. Kamyatsk is even nearer, so you can get there within an hour. So, but when you go on to Hoyapole or Hoyapo, I have no idea how to pronounce that city. You can see that this reinforcement will have to travel upwards of 150 kilometers. So here you mark 110 or 111, but actually you have because this is just a straight line, so all the turns and all the twists and turns around the road will represent that this actually will be a 150 kilometers drive, and this is actually a very long road to do reinforcement, and it's much worse for the forces at the Velika Novoselka. So perhaps it's easier for them to draw forces from the Eastern Front to come and reinforce this part, which I believe this is what they do, because according to my assessment, I believe there is actually a major defense line through this road as well. So from Velika Novoselka, they actually have this major road down all the way through Zolota Niva, Pereshtivka, Palivka, Mykilske, Volodymyrivka, as well as Blahodepny. So this entire line should be a major defense line as well. So this is the first line of defense, which is threatened to be encircled, and then they have the second defense line, and if they fall, they'll have to fall all the way back to this major artery where they have to hold. If they do not hold, then a major hub at Perov will be threatened. So this is the situation in the Donetsk front. There is no other information regarding there's actually information. So let me see. Oh, that was covered from yesterday, the counter-offensive by the Ukrainians. If you do not know yet, there's a major counter-offensive that the Ukrainians have taken Chuhuiv, as well as Andriivka, as well as the Hachi. So this major counter-offensive kind of cut this supply route from the east of Kharkiv all the way to Izium, although the Russians will still be able to go to Izium through Kupiansk, as well as this entire area is likely to be all Russian controlled now. So not much other information. There is this information here though, that the Russians actually tried to attack from the west and then they got repelled. But in all communications from the Ukraine side, all Russian forces is always repelled, like always. So I don't know what to make of this. So probably I just put it there because the Russians attack from the west, then okay, the Russian attack from the west. Otherwise, no other informations regarding the entire battlefront here. So this is the summary for day 15. I hope you can understand what I'm talking about. If you can't, you can always on the subtitles. You can like and subscribe this channel if you like what I'm doing. Hopefully this give you some idea of what's happening on the ground, and I'll see you in the next update.